Welcome back, everyone, to our special journey into the things you were never told about gemstones. I'm Brian, your archaeological field reporter here on World of Gem. And today, if you're thinking about investing in gemstones, you should not skip a single second of this video. Because somewhere in this countdown, there is a volcanic gemstone whose price has risen faster than diamond itself. A stone once rejected as worthless, now becoming one of the most aggressive investment climbs of the decade. Missing it could mean making a very expensive mistake. Picture this: a gemstone born inside an exploding volcano, trapped in black lava for millions of years, hidden until a single fracture in the rock reveals a glow no one expected. That's the kind of story we're stepping into today. Because every stone in this top 10 was formed by fire, not by time, not by pressure alone, but by eruptions so violent they tore open the earth and exposed minerals that were never meant to be seen. These stones matter because each one carries a secret most people never hear. The stone in seventh place only exists when a volcano breathes in a perfect rhythm, and one tiny change can erase it from existence. The stone ranked fourth is so delicate that a single breath of air can snap it in half. And the number one gemstone, the one everyone ignores until it's too late, comes directly from Earth's mantle. It was once called geologic debris. Today, collectors whisper that its price curve may be impossible to stop. But here's what almost no one talks about. Behind the beauty of these volcanic gems lie stories buried under ash and time. Stones banned from trade for 70 years. Stones that vanished from auction catalogs without explanation. Stones discovered in places that rewrote entire geological theories. Some were found in the remains of eruptions that darkened the sky for 3 straight days. If you're ready to follow those mysteries, to see the stones shaped by fire, silence, and impossible conditions, then stay until the very end. Because the story behind gemstone number 1 may change how you look at volcanic minerals forever. And if this is your first time here on World of Gem, I'd love for you to like this video and subscribe so you don't miss any future expeditions. Now, let's open these volcanic treasures one by one and see what has been hiding inside the ancient lava. Rank 10, Quartz/Amethyst Geode, hidden inside volcanic stone. I still remember the first time I split open a volcanic boulder on the dry plains of Artigas, northern Uruguay. At the surface, it looked like every other chunk of basalt scattered across the lava fields. Dark, heavy, silent. But the moment the hammer struck, the rock cracked open like an egg. And the world inside was nothing like the world outside. Before me was a geode lined with amethyst crystals, so perfect and symmetrical that it felt almost engineered. The walls shimmered in shades of violet, indigo, and cold silver, as if the volcano had hidden a small cathedral of light within its own hardened shell. And that's the strange truth. These geodes form only when ancient volcanic gases leave behind hollow pockets inside cooling lava. Over millions of years, mineral-rich water seeps in, silica settles, and quartz grows layer by layer, until the hollow becomes a chamber of crystals. Most people don't realize this, but the finest amethyst geodes in the world are mined almost entirely from Uruguay and southern Brazil. Here, old basalt flows stretch across the land like frozen black rivers. Miners follow subtle fractures in the rock, lowering themselves into narrow tunnels carved by hand. There's no rushing the process. Every boulder must be cut slowly to avoid shattering the crystals hidden inside. Some geodes are small enough to fit in your palm. Others are taller than a person, opening like a doorway into the planet's old volcanic memory. And when these crystals are transformed into jewelry, especially pendants or rings, their value varies wildly. A simple amethyst cabochon from Uruguay may cost only $20 to $40, but a fine, deep purple, royal-grade stone with no color zoning can reach $300 to $800, sometimes more if the origin is certified. The price doesn't come just from the beauty, but from the miracle of survival. For a geode to form, remain intact, and be found without breaking is statistically rare. As a field reporter, I've cracked open dozens of volcanic stones. Only 3 revealed interiors worth filming. This one was different. It felt less like discovering a mineral and more like finding a volcanic diary entry, a hidden record of heat, pressure, and silence that no human was ever meant to read. If you're watching this far, I'm curious, did this geode surprise you as much as it surprised me? If yes, leave a quick comment. It helps me know which discoveries you want me to explore deeper. And one more thought before we move on. Which gemstone do you think will surpass even diamonds in desirability by 2026? And why? Share your answer below. And if you enjoy stories like this, don't forget you can share this episode into the gemstone groups on Facebook or Reddit so more people can join the discussion. Rank 9. Garnet xenolith from the Earth's mantle. When you hold a garnet xenolith in your hand, you're not just holding a gemstone. You're holding a message from the deep earth, a piece of rock that should never have reached the surface, unless a volcano forcefully dragged it up from more than 60 kilometers below our feet. I first encountered one of these during an expedition in the Harz Range of Central Australia, a region famous among geologists for producing mantle-born xenoliths. The volcanic field there looks quiet today, but every hill and ridge is the frozen memory of eruptions powerful enough to tear chunks of the Earth's interior upward. And hidden inside those chunks are garnets unlike anything you see in jewelry stores. When I cracked open the first boulder, I didn't see a glittering crystal. What I saw was something deeper. Rounded crimson garnets embedded in a dark matrix of peridotite. Each grain shaped not by surface weathering, but by immense pressures miles beneath the crust. These garnets formed at temperatures exceeding 900 degrees Celsius, inside mantle rocks that once flowed slowly like hot asphalt. The colors range from wine red to plum purple, often so saturated they look almost wet. Mining them is unlike mining any normal gemstone. In regions such as Australia, Tanzania, and northern Arizona, prospectors follow old volcanic vents, scanning the ground for fragments of mantle xenoliths. These stones are never polished by nature. They're raw, heavy, and dense. You have to cut them carefully, slice by slice, to reveal whether the garnets inside are whole, fractured, or large enough to turn into gems. And here's the part most viewers don't expect. Only a tiny percentage of mantle garnets are suitable for jewelry. But when they are, especially those with deep uniform color, they can command prices from $80 to $200 for small stones and up to $800 to $1,500 for larger flawless cuts with confirmed mantle origin. Collectors often pay even more simply for the xenolith itself, uncut, because it's essentially a piece of the Earth's hidden anatomy. As a field reporter, I've always felt that garnet xenoliths are less about beauty and more about perspective. Few things remind you of Earth's violent interior like holding a rock that once lived in the mantle, a place we humans will never reach. If this discovery surprised you even a little, tell me what part shocked you the most. Your comment helps me decide which deep Earth stories to investigate next. And before we move to number 8, let me ask you this. If you could see inside the mantle with your own eyes, what mineral do you think you'd find dominating the landscape? Feel free to share this video into your favorite gemstone groups on Facebook or Reddit. I love reading what other collectors think about finds like this. Rank 8. Sulfur crystals from the heart of an active volcano. I learned very quickly that nothing tests your instincts quite like walking near the vents of an active volcano. The air burns your lungs, your eyes sting, and the ground under your boots vibrates as if something beneath it is still breathing. But that's exactly where I found the mineral that changed the way I think about volcanic landscapes. Sulfur crystals. My journey began on the slopes of Mount Ijen in East Java, Indonesia, one of the few places on Earth where you can physically watch elemental sulfur forming in real time. Imagine standing beside a volcanic fumarole, a steaming vent, where gases hotter than 200 degrees Celsius rush out under tremendous pressure. As the gas cools, bright yellow crystals suddenly appear on the surrounding rocks, like neon frost growing on the bones of the Earth. In the first 30 seconds of being there, something hit me. The smell, sharp, acidic, unmistakably like burnt eggs, tells every visitor this place doesn't want you to stay long. But then your eyes adjust, and you see it. Clusters of canary yellow crystals, some shaped like fans, others forming long needles, and a few growing into perfect geometric blocks. It's hard to believe something so beautiful is born from such a hostile environment. Mining sulfur is a brutal profession. At Aegean and in volcanic fields across Chile, Sicily, and Ethiopia, miners still extract sulfur by hand. They break crusts of crystallized sulfur with iron bars, load them into baskets, and carry up to 70 to 90 kilograms on their shoulders, hiking steep crater walls for just a few dollars a day. The crystals they collect will be purified for industry, but the finest, clearest pieces are sold to collectors. When sulfur is cut into gems, usually crafted as cabochon and small display pieces, the price varies dramatically. A clean, transparent sulfur gem from Sicily can sell for $50 to $150, while museum-grade bright yellow clusters from Aegean or the Aeolian Islands can reach $300 to $800, especially if the crystal structure is intact and undamaged. The rarity isn't in finding sulfur. It's in finding sulfur that survived without cracking or melting. As a field reporter, I've seen countless minerals, but sulfur is the only one that feels alive, constantly forming, changing, evaporating, returning. It's the Earth's reminder that beauty isn't always born in calmness. Sometimes it emerges from danger. If this volcanic treasure surprised you, tell me in the comments what details shocked you most: the smell, the heat, or the impossible color. And here's my question for you before we move on. Which gemstone do you think could only be formed by a force more extreme than a volcano itself? Share this episode into your favorite gem groups on Facebook or Reddit. I promise, sulfur crystals always spark conversation. Rank 7. Zeolite, the crystal gardens hidden inside volcanoes. I've spent years cracking open volcanic rocks, but nothing prepares you for the moment you split a basalt nodule in half and see what looks like a miniature crystal garden glowing inside. That's exactly what happened to me in the Deccan Traps of Western India, one of the largest volcanic provinces on the planet, and the birthplace of some of the world's most extraordinary zeolite crystals. The first 30 seconds on that field still sit in my memory. Imagine standing on an endless plain of black lava, layered by eruptions millions of years apart. The ground is silent, but the rocks beneath your feet hide entire ecosystems of microscopic minerals, waiting for someone curious enough, or lucky enough, to find them. When my hammer struck a seemingly ordinary vesicular basalt, the rock split cleanly, revealing a chamber lined with white, pink, and honey-colored zeolite blades, each one perfectly arranged like frost growing inside a cave. Zeolites don't form in the chaos of eruption. They form much later, quietly, patiently. After lava cools, the gas bubbles trapped inside become hollow pockets. Over thousands to millions of years, silica-rich groundwater moves through these cavities, leaving behind delicate frameworks of crystals. Depending on chemistry and time, you may get apophyllite, stilbite, heulandite, or dozens of other zeolite species, each with its own geometry, its own balance of transparency and color. Collecting these minerals isn't easy. In India's Pune-Nashik belt, in parts of Iceland, and across volcanic fields in Oregon, miners carefully remove whole pockets using chisels and diamond saws. One wrong move, one vibration too strong, and the entire cavity collapses into powder. What survives is genuinely miraculous. Crystals so fragile that even the warmth of your hands can dull their shine. When turned into jewelry, zeolites behave differently than typical gemstones. They're soft, too soft for rings, but stunning when set in pendants or display pieces. Prices vary. A clear apophyllite cluster may cost $30 to $80, while a museum-grade pink stilbite fan from India can reach $200 to $600. The true value, however, lies not in hardness or rarity, but in the impossible symmetry nature creates inside a rock no person was ever meant to open. As a field reporter, zeolite pockets always felt like opening time capsules. These crystals didn't just grow. They waited for water, for silence, for stability, and eventually for discovery. If this hidden volcanic garden surprised you, tell me in the comments which zeolite color impressed you most: the icy whites, the warm pinks, or the glowing greens. And before we move to number 6, here's a question to spark discussion. Do you think fragile stones like these will ever become more valuable than traditional gems like sapphire or ruby? Why or why not? Feel free to share this video into gemstone groups on Facebook or Reddit. Zeolite collectors are everywhere, and they love discussing new finds. Rank 6, Fire Opal, the volcano's liquid flame that turned into stone. The first time I saw a fire opal forming inside volcanic rock, it didn't look like a gemstone. It looked like a drop of molten sunlight trapped beneath the basalt, still glowing as if waiting for the right moment to break free. And that moment happened during an expedition to the volcanic highlands of Peridot, central Mexico, home to the most vivid fire opals on Earth. Within the first 30 seconds of stepping onto that old lava flow, something felt different. The ground was fractured, the basalt darker than usual, and thin seams ran through the rock like veins. When miners told me the color hides inside the cracks, I didn't believe them until they handed me a fragment they had just opened. Inside was a fiery pocket of orange, yellow, and cherry red opal, shimmering with internal light. Fire opal doesn't rely on play of color like precious opal. Instead, its brilliance comes from iron-rich silica solutions that filled volcanic fissures and cooled slowly underground. Over thousands of years, these liquids transformed into translucent gemstones that look almost liquid even today. Some appear neon bright, others softly glowing, and the rarest glow like burning embers, a phenomenon collectors call internal flame. Mining fire opal is equal parts geology and intuition. In Mexico, Ethiopia, and parts of Turkey, miners follow narrow faults in ancient lava flows, chiseling carefully along thin seams. Because fire opal forms in delicate veins, not large pockets, extraction requires precision. One wrong strike can fracture the entire stone, turning a potential treasure into a handful of shards. When cut into jewelry, fire opal becomes one of the most expressive volcanic gems. Prices vary dramatically. Commercial-grade stones start at $20 to $60. Bright orange Mexican stones often sell for $150 to $400, and top-tier cherry red gems with high clarity can reach $1,000 to $5,000 per carat, especially those with glowing, jelly transparency. As a field reporter, I realized fire opal isn't just a gem, it's a preserved moment, a memory of volcanic water, silica, iron, and heat, all caught in a slow geological dance that began long before humans arrived to admire its glow. If this gemstone surprised you, tell me in the comments which fire opal color impressed you most: orange, yellow, or the rare red. And before we move on to number 5, here's a question I'd love to hear your thoughts on. Do you think fire opal's glow can ever rival the classic brilliance of ruby or emerald in the jewelry market? Why or why not? Feel free to share this part of the video into Facebook or Reddit gemstone groups. Fire opal lovers are incredibly passionate, and the discussions get fiery fast. Rank 5, Volcanic Agate Nodules, the hidden galaxies inside lava stones. You never forget the moment you split open a volcanic nodule and realize the universe has been hiding inside a rock. My unforgettable encounter happened in the Thunder Egg Beds of Central Oregon, a landscape that looks barren on the surface but contains some of the most extraordinary agate nodules ever discovered. The first 30 seconds on that ground changed everything. The volcanic tuff under my boots felt unusually light, porous, crumbly, almost hollow. Old miners told me, the prettier stones are the ugliest on the outside. It sounded like a joke, until my chisel hit a round, cauliflower-like stone, and it cracked open with a clean metallic snap. Inside was a swirling world of banded agate, its colors transitioning from smoky gray to burnt orange, then into crystalline quartz at the center. Agate nodules like these form only under rare conditions. Millions of years ago, when explosive volcanic eruptions blanketed the region with ash and molten debris, gas bubbles became trapped inside the cooling tuff. Over time, silica-rich fluids seeped into those voids. Layer after layer, they deposited chalcedony in concentric bands, each one recording a change in chemistry, water temperature, or even the seasons. The result? A natural time-lapse painting hidden inside a rock so plain most people walk right past it. Collecting volcanic agates is an art of patience and intuition. In places like Oregon, Nevada, Germany's Eider Oberstein fields, and parts of Mexico, prospectors look for slight variations in shape, bumps, spherical outlines, or cracks that hint at a hollow interior. Extraction requires gentle tapping rather than smashing. The goal is to reveal the interior, not destroy it. When turned into jewelry, volcanic agate becomes a storyteller's gem. Its durability makes it perfect for rings, pendants, and carving. Prices vary. Simple polished halves sell for $15 to $40. High contrast banded agates commonly range from $80 to $200. And rare nodules with vivid red, yellow, or thunder egg star patterns can reach $300 to $1,000, depending on symmetry and visual depth. As a field reporter, I've cracked open hundreds of stones, but only a few gave me the feeling this one did. As if I had just opened a geologic diary. These nodules aren't just minerals. They're cosmic snapshots formed from water, fire, silence, and unimaginable time. If this volcanic galaxy surprised you, tell me in the comments which color band fascinated you most. The grays, the reds, or the glowing quartz center. And before we continue to number 4, here's a question for everyone watching. Do you think volcanic agates could become the next mainstream gemstone trend, surpassing even opals? Why or why not? Feel free to share this video into gemstone groups on Facebook or Reddit. Agate collectors are some of the most passionate in the community. Rank 4. Blue Obsidian Fumarole Glass. The volcano's impossible blue flame. There are volcanic creations so rare that even seasoned geologists spend their entire careers without ever seeing one in the wild. That moment happened for me on the slopes of Iceland's volcanic fields, where something glimmered inside a steaming fumarole vent. Something blue, glassy, and completely unexpected. It was a piece of blue obsidian fumarole glass, one of the rarest volcanic materials ever documented. The first 30 seconds at that vent didn't feel real. The ground pulsed with heat. Pillars of white steam hissed upward. And tucked inside a fractured basalt shelf was a thin, electric blue sheet of volcanic glass, glowing like frozen flame. This material forms only under extraordinary conditions. When gases rich in silica escape through fumarole vents at extreme temperatures, the vapor condenses directly into glass, not through flowing lava, but through crystallization from volcanic gas itself. The result is a fragile, transparent glass that ranges from icy aqua to deep cobalt, depending on chemistry and cooling speed. It is so rare that entire eruptions may produce only a few grams worth collecting. Harvesting it is dangerous. Collectors must approach active vents wearing heat-resistant gear, using long tools to loosen thin glass films that cling to the rock. One wrong move, one sudden gust of superheated gas, and the glass shatters instantly. Or worse, the collector gets burned. Because of its fragility, blue obsidian fumarole glass is almost never used in jewelry. Instead, tiny intact sheets or shards preserved in museum capsules are highly prized. Common fragments, $40 to $90. Clear, vibrant blue pieces, $150 to $300. Rare large sheets or iridescent formations, $400 to $900 plus depending on origin and transparency. Collectors value them not for size but for impossibility. This is glass born not from lava, but from the breath of the volcano itself. As a field reporter, holding a fragment of this blue volcanic vapor felt surreal, as if I were touching a ghost, a material that shouldn't exist, created under conditions the Earth rarely repeats. If this discovery surprised you, tell me in the comments. Do you believe gases alone should be able to create a gemstone this stunning? And before we continue to number 3, here's a question. If volcanic gas can form glass like this, what else do you think it might create that we haven't found yet? Rank 3, Pyroclastic sunstone shards, the gem forged in midair by a volcanic explosion. Some gemstones grow slowly, deep underground. Others form quietly in volcanic cavities. But pyroclastic sunstone shards, these are the only gemstones I've ever seen that are born in the sky, in the middle of a volcanic explosion. My first encounter happened near the basaltic eruption fields of Oregon, a landscape that looks calm today, but once erupted with such force that molten droplets of feldspar were blasted high into the air. And in the first 30 seconds of walking across that blackened ground, I saw something glinting inside the ash, something that sparkled like crushed sunlight, tiny copper-flashing crystals scattered across the landscape. When I lifted one, I realized what I was holding wasn't just volcanic debris. It was sunstone, but not the kind carved from ancient bedrock. These pieces were formed in mid-air, during the explosive moment when magma, copper, and volcanic gas collided at extreme speeds. Here's what makes them extraordinary. During a pyroclastic burst, droplets of molten feldspar get ripped from the magma. As they fly through the air, microscopic copper plates align within the crystal, creating flashes of gold, orange, and rose. The entire gemstone forms in less than a second. One breath too long, one shift in temperature, and the crystal becomes nothing more than dull volcanic glass. Most gemstones form in stillness. These are formed in chaos, spinning, cooling, and crystallizing while suspended above an eruption. That's why every shard has a unique shape. Some are leaf-thin, some are sharp like broken stars, some look like glowing embers frozen mid-flight. In Oregon, India, and parts of Armenia, miners and researchers search pyroclastic beds for tiny flashes of copper. It takes trained eyes. The stones hide among volcanic fragments, and only the brightest pieces reveal themselves under sunlight. Prices vary widely. Small shards with mild shimmer, $200 to $400. Intense gold or rose flashes, $500 to $800. Large aerodynamic shards form mid-flight, $900 to $1,500, plus museum-grade specimens with documented eruption origins are extremely rare, and in some cases considered scientifically priceless. As a field reporter, I've held gemstones forged under oceans, inside mountains, and deep within volcanic vents, but never something created between earth and sky, during the single instant when a volcano exhales with violent force. Pyroclastic sunstone shards aren't just minerals. They are snapshots of an explosion. The exact millisecond magma became crystal. If this airborne gemstone surprised you, tell me in the comments. Do you think gems formed in mid-air should be considered rarer than gems formed deep underground? Why? And before we move to rank 2, here's a question to ignite discussion. If a volcano can create gemstones while throwing them into the sky, what other treasures might be hidden inside the ash clouds we've never explored? Rank 2, Obsidian, the volcano's black mirror sharper than steel. There's a moment every field geologist remembers. The first time you hold obsidian under direct sunlight and realize you're looking at something that shouldn't exist in solid form. It's too glassy, too perfect, too dark, almost like the volcano froze a piece of night sky and handed it to you. My moment happened in the glass buttes of Oregon, a place where entire hillsides glitter with sharp, black volcanic glass. The first 30 seconds on that landscape feel unreal. The wind whistles through jagged slopes, and beneath your feet, broken shards crunch like fractured ice. When the sun hits them, the ground doesn't shine, it glows. Streaks of jet black, mahogany red, and even rainbow-sheened obsidian scatter the landscape like discarded fragments of a shattered star. Obsidian forms during eruptions, where lava cools so quickly it can't crystallize. Instead of forming minerals, it solidifies into pure volcanic glass, a material so sharp that archaeological blades made from obsidian have been found with edges finer than modern surgical steel. Ancient cultures understood its power long before science did. In Mesoamerica, Anatolia, Japan, and across the Pacific, obsidian was used for weapons, mirrors, ritual objects, even early surgical tools. Mining obsidian is relatively straightforward, but collecting fine-grade material is not. In regions like Oregon, Mexico's Sierra de las Navajas, and Armenia's volcanic plateaus, prospectors search for nodules with internal purity. No cracks, no snowflake inclusions, no stress lines. A single high-quality piece can be polished into a mirror so reflective, it feels alive. When fashioned into jewelry, obsidian becomes both elegant and fierce. Standard black obsidian pendants sell for $20 to $60. Mahogany or mottled red varieties range from $50 to $120. Rare rainbow obsidian, showing iridescent rings under strong light, commands $150 to $400 per piece. And historical obsidian artifacts can reach thousands at auction, depending on origin. But obsidian's true power isn't just aesthetic, it's archaeological. Every blade, arrowhead, or carved piece tells a story about the people who shaped it and the volcano that forged it. As a field reporter, I've excavated obsidian tools thousands of years old that still felt sharp enough to draw blood. If this volcanic glass surprised you, tell me in the comments which obsidian type speaks to you the most: pure black, mahogany, or the elusive rainbow sheen. And before we reveal number one, here's a question to spark discussion. If obsidian is one of Earth's sharpest natural materials, do you think we've underestimated its future potential in technology or medicine? Why? Feel free to share this segment into Facebook or Reddit geology groups. Obsidian lovers are everywhere, and debates about ancient blades can get intense. Rank 1. Peridot, the green gem, carried to the surface by fire. There are gemstones you find, and gemstones that find you. My encounter with volcanic olivine, the gemstone peridot, happened on the rugged coast of Papakolea Beach in Hawaii, one of only 4 green sand beaches on the planet. And in the first 30 seconds of being there, I realized why this stone deserves the number 1 spot on this list. Imagine this. The wind smells of salt and heat. Waves crash against cliffs carved by ancient lava flows. And beneath your feet, the entire beach sparkles in shades of olive green, as if someone poured millions of tiny emeralds into the sand. These aren't dyed grains or broken bottles. They're fragments of Earth's mantle, carried upward through volcanic eruptions and released into the sunlight for the first time in millions of years. Olivine forms deep underground, inside mantle rocks called dunite and peridotite. When magma rises, it tears chunks of the mantle with it, xenoliths carrying olivine crystals. Most break apart on the journey. Only a small fraction survive intact, crystallizing into transparent, gem-quality peridot. Collecting these gems is unlike searching for any other volcanic stone. In Hawaii, Arizona's San Carlos Reservation, Pakistan's Kohistan Arc, and Myanmar's historic Mogok Valley, prospectors follow old volcanic vents, looking for basalt flows peppered with green crystals. Sometimes you find tiny grains. Sometimes you find centimeter-sized crystals. And once in a while, if the volcano has been generous, you find stones large enough to cut into flawless, glowing gems. When transformed into jewelry, peridot becomes one of the most luminous volcanic gemstones. Commercial-grade stones cost $30 to $80. Fine green, eye-clean peridot from Arizona ranges $150 to $400. And rare Pakistani or Burmese peridot, over 4 to 6 carats, can reach $1,000 to $5,000 per stone. Collectors pay even more for pieces still embedded in their volcanic host rock, a reminder of the violent journey those green crystals survived. What fascinates me as a field reporter is the contradiction. Peridot looks gentle, soft green, warm glow, summery brightness. Yet it's born from intense heat, crushing pressure, and violent ascent. It is literally a messenger from Earth's interior. If this volcanic treasure surprised you, tell me in the comments where you think the most beautiful peridot on Earth comes from: Hawaii, Pakistan, or Arizona. And before this episode ends, here's a final question to spark debate. If gemstones born from volcanoes can be this stunning, do you think the deepest layers of Earth hold even greater treasures we haven't discovered yet? Feel free to share this entire volcanic gemstone journey into Facebook or Reddit groups. The Peridot community is huge, and discussions there can get wonderfully intense. And that brings us to the end of our journey through 10 volcanic gemstones, each one shaped by fire, lifted by pressure, and revealed only through the rarest moments in Earth's long memory. If you made it this far, you're now among the very few people who truly understand how unpredictable, powerful, and misunderstood volcanic gems really are. But before we close today's expedition, I want to leave you with a thought. Every gemstone we explored wasn't just formed, it survived. It survived eruptions, collapses, earthquakes, chemical storms, and millions of years of silence. And somehow, against all odds, it survived long enough to reach your eyes today. So here's my question for you, and I genuinely want to read your answer. If you could hold only one volcanic gemstone for the rest of your life, which one would it be and why? Your comment doesn't just help the channel, it helps shape the next expedition we take together. If today's discovery surprised you, feel free to share this video in your favorite Facebook or Reddit gemstone groups. You never know whose curiosity you might ignite. And if this is your first time joining us on World of Gem, I'd be honored if you hit like and subscribe. Not because the algorithm needs it, but because the next episode will take us even deeper into the stories hidden beneath the earth. Until then, keep your curiosity sharp, your eyes open, and your sense of wonder ready. I'm Brian, and this has been World of Gem. I'll see you on the next discovery.